The Borealis, a mining spaceship, sails through the vast, silent void of space, carrying a crew of miners in cryopods. With 4 years left before they reach their intended destination, all seems routine. However, disaster strikes when an asteroid, on an unexpected course, slams into the ship. The impact causes catastrophic damage, forcing the cryopods into ejection mode. Leonard, the ship's AI, promptly awakens the miners to prepare them for the emergency. As the ship is battered, one miner, Andy, is among the first to wake, just as the asteroid collides. Leonard instructs him to remain calm and adhere to safety protocols. The cryopods, though damaged, are directed toward a nearby planet while the Borealis is obliterated. Robotic arms in Andy's pod rush to assemble his suit, secure his helmet, and restore his oxygen supply. Many other cryopods are destroyed either from the impact of the asteroid or the intense heat during the planet's atmospheric re-entry. Andy's pod narrowly survives the fiery descent, but struggles with its speed. In a desperate maneuver, he spins the pod to avoid crashing directly into a hill, though it still crashes. He loses consciousness after the landing. Andy is abruptly awakened by a memory of his family. Regaining his senses, he assesses his surroundings and finds himself in a barren, rocky mountain range beneath dark, stormy clouds. He attempts to contact the ship, but receives no response. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently, and Leonard warns him to exit the pod immediately. However, Andy faces difficulty opening the pod, as it is severely damaged. Searching through the survival kit, he discovers that, as a low-ranking miner, he has been left without a flare gun. In desperation, Andy uses a fire extinguisher to smash the pod's window, making his escape. As he exits, unstable terrain flips the pod, and broken glass tears into his suit. Leonard cautions him that the planet is inhospitable, and Andy must act quickly. Using a special spray to seal the tear in his suit, Andy continues. Leonard then alerts him that the pod is on fire, but Andy manages to free himself, clutching his son's toy, the only personal item he holds dear. Amid the destruction, Andy watches the Borealis as it enters the planet's atmosphere. The ship is engulfed in flames, and when it crashes, it is completely destroyed. The shock wave from the crash sends Andy flying several meters, but, miraculously, he survives. He asks Leonard for their current location, and Leonard reveals that they are in an unmapped star system, far from their intended destination. In the distance, Andy spots a light and decides to head toward it, trying again to contact anyone on the radio. As he moves forward, Andy comes across the remains of the Borealis, where he finds another pod. He attempts to take an oxygen tank from it, but upon finding a lifeless body inside, he hesitates. Summoning his courage, Andy removes the tank, only to discover it is damaged and unusable. Frustrated, he continues toward the light. As he walks, ominous signs appear near the pod, bloodstains and scratch marks that suggest he is not alone. When he finally reaches the light, Andy encounters another survivor, Dwayne, who is relieved to see him. Dwayne, however, is considering eating the bodies of the dead to survive, believing that they are the only two survivors. He explains that the company took a shortcut through an asteroid belt to save fuel, which led to the crash. Dwayne, who works in the communications department, plans to send a distress signal back to Earth, hoping for a rescue ship. He tells Andy that the signal will take 8 months to reach Earth, and even with the fastest rescue ship, the RTS, it will take another 2 years to arrive. In the meantime, Dwayne suggests heading south to find the other half of the Borealis and establish a base camp there. When Andy begins to lose hope, Dwayne motivates him, reminding him of his resilience. However, Dwayne's push is too strong, causing Andy to stumble backward and accidentally unplug a wire. As Andy works to fix it, a creature suddenly appears and drags Dwayne away. Confused and frightened, Andy can only listen as Dwayne is taken. Despite the shock, Andy continues his mission to send a distress signal. While on his way, Andy's radio crackles, and he hears the voice of Naomi, another survivor. She informs Andy that her legs are trapped in her pod and asks for his help. Leonard warns Andy that the area Naomi is in is highly unstable, and if he tries to reach her, he'll lose all his oxygen. Instead, Leonard advises taking a safer route to the other half of the Borealis. Naomi, however, insists she has enough oxygen to share with Andy, and he agrees to help. As Andy journeys toward Naomi, the two begin to talk and get to know each other. Night falls, and Andy starts to notice strange movements in the dark. He asks Leonard to scan the area, but the AI can't perform the task. Naomi comments that Leonard is outdated and was selected to save money. As Andy continues walking, he spots shadowy figures darting through the darkness, then finds strange footprints. Following them, he discovers a hole surrounded by webs. Terrified, he warns Naomi that they may be facing alien spiders. However, Naomi points out that, technically, they themselves are the aliens. Andy begins to walk faster, sensing danger, and notices more webs scattered around. Naomi asks him why he took the job, speculating that he might be running from something in his past. This question triggers a painful memory of Andy's wife and son, who left him. Suddenly, a low growling sound fills the air, and Andy starts scanning the surroundings. Leonard alerts him that multiple trackers are approaching, but to his horror, the trackers belong to crew members who are already dead. As the trackers get closer, Andy fires a flare gun for visibility. The flare lights up the area, revealing giant spiders with scorpion-like tails closing in on him. Terrified, Andy runs for his life but loses his footing and falls into a crack in the ground. A spider chases him from above, its legs dangerously close. Andy falls several meters down into a cliff, miraculously surviving the fall. The giant spider roars in frustration but does not follow. Andy informs Naomi about the spiders and the horrifying discovery that the trackers are inside the spiders' stomachs. Realizing his suit is leaking oxygen, Andy uses his last sealant spray to patch the tear. Suddenly, Dwayne's voice crackles over the radio, telling Andy and Naomi he's fighting the giant spiders. Naomi urges Andy to help Dwayne, but Andy hesitates, reasoning that Dwayne has more oxygen. GPS malfunctions from Andy's fall, so Naomi guides him toward Dwayne. He finally spots a flare and reaches Dwayne, only to find him under attack. Dwayne tries to make a plan, but before he can act, a spider leaps onto him. Andy hides behind a pod, helpless, and listens as the spider devours Dwayne. Another spider approaches, sniffing for Andy, but Naomi distracts it by turning on a nearby pod's lights. Taking advantage of the distraction, Andy hides in another pod, but finds a decaying body inside. He begs Naomi to turn off the lights, but she has another idea. She turns on all the pod's lights at once, drawing the spiders toward the pod and giving Andy a chance to escape. Even then, a spider continues to chase him. Eventually, Andy and Naomi end up in a foggy area. Andy urges Naomi to leave her pod immediately, but she's still trapped inside. Panicking, Naomi is calmed by Andy singing a soothing song he used to sing to his son. Naomi confirms that Dwayne is dead and that they are the only two survivors left on the planet. Moving through the fog, Andy wonders why the spiders stopped chasing him and encounters a mesmerizing swarm of fireflies, glowing purple. But the fireflies suddenly shift to an angry red and begin attacking him, trying to break his helmet. He narrowly escapes and Naomi theorizes that the spiders might fear the fireflies, explaining why they stopped pursuing him earlier. Before Andy can process this theory, a massive creature emerges from the ground and swallows him whole. Inside the creature, Andy experiences a vision of his family as he begins to suffer from a heart attack. Leonard activates the defibrillator in Andy's suit, shocking the creature violently and causing it to spit Andy out. He quickly scrambles to his feet, but the creature continues to chase him. He falls into a cave-like structure filled with fireflies. Again, the fireflies swarm him aggressively, forcing him to flee. Once he exits the cave, the fireflies stop chasing him, leaving him with little oxygen. Determined, Andy heads toward Naomi. Reaching her just before his oxygen runs out. She plugs him into her oxygen supply and helps him free her trapped leg. With her leg stabilized, they gather supplies from her pod and prepare to move on. Soon, a horde of spiders surrounds them, forcing them to run. Naomi's AI, Ami, injects her with morphine to help with her pain. The spiders soon ambush them again, but Naomi manages to fire a flare gun, drawing the spiders' attention. Taking advantage of the distraction, the duo boards the remaining part of the Borealis. However, the control system malfunctions, and Naomi struggles to close the doors. She finally succeeds just as a spider gets caught and sliced in half. The creatures outside begin banging on the door, forcing Andy and Naomi to retreat deeper into the ship. They eventually find a livable deck with enough supplies to sustain them until